I had was to restructure the topics because it didn't flow the way I wanted to. So I put rivers, watercourse, beaches, and coastal erosion. Now this is only one of my caps. Engineering, coastal, structural, all levels of engineering in the civil department talk to me. In this area, we have a watershed. A watershed is an area or land area that collects water and leads it into a ravine or onto the sea. In our Tobago, our watershed is the main ridge. We have one major watershed that has many catchments, and that is our main ridge in Tobago. All watersheds must be protected, because if we need to get clean and water or potable water, we have to ensure that habitation doesn't take place in the highlands to prevent pollution of our water courses. In the watershed, we have catchment basins. As you would see there, we have the headwater, we have precipitation which really comes in Trinidad and Tobago as rain, but in other countries we have snow and other type of precipitation. Then we have, coming into the river valley, we have the various tributaries that lead to the main river, that's collecting the water that goes down to the estuary and into the coastal region. This is a forested area where we have to ensure, WASA would be pleased to see that there's no housing in this area. Because in an area where you have to collect water, houses at least release pollutants, be it fecal waste, be it grey water. You just have to be very careful. And in an area where we are not sewered, you have to take the sewer system, take the waste into the sewer system, then you have to be very protective of the forested area where we are collecting the water to get into the river. Here is where you observe anytime a river changes its elevation, it either comes in the form of a rapid, and this is one of the a particular form of a rapid where the water is turbulent and the mixing is very high here with respect to increasing the oxygenation of the water. Here we have a small cliff where we have the river falling into a basin, and this is also increasing the oxygenation of the water as it comes down the watercourses. Here is where the river is eroding this bank, and we know that for the coastal development of our beaches, we have to have sediments. This river is supplying a significant amount of sediment to the river, to the bay in which it is flowing into. And this is, if you observe on the outer side here, is where the erosion is mainly taking place. And as the river comes down this point, it hits across this area and takes the sediment along its bed down into the embayment. Here we are protecting that same outer bank that the river might be eroding. At this point in time, we have the river bank is being protected by gabion baskets, and we are training the river to flow in a particular direction and reducing the erosion on this bank. It may have been that there's some development that has taken place above the river bank, because you don't waste money in the areas where you don't have nothing to protect. You have something to protect here, so therefore we have to either protect the road or a community that may be standing nearby. Here is another training of a river. At this point in time, you have an excavator, and we are packing boulders in this area to ensure that the river does not erode the embankment. As you observe, there's a development, there's a significant development right on the river bank. So therefore, you have to protect that development and ensure that the river does not erode that bank and will affect that community or that area, that development or company that is really has its property on the river bank. Industrial pollution. We have to ensure that our waters are pristine. This is a factory that is delivering polluted water into a river. And we have to try to avoid this as much as possible, because when you have chemicals in the water, WASA has to do a lot of work to ensure that that water is potable. And in this situation, the chemical analysis of this would be significant, and therefore you have to ensure that a company releasing water into a river or any nearby stream must be at a certain standard, which the WASA has the standard for any company delivering water into a nearby stream or river. This area reminds me of behind like Cook's River. And you know, sometimes you see this pollution that takes place, and you have to be very careful not to put cans and sticks in the waterway, because what happens, it goes down and clog the exit on the far corner, and you will expect flooding to occur. Let us be our own keepers. Do not throw cans and bottles in these areas. At least we know that we have a garbage collection system that might be up to a certain standard, but we have to reduce the amount of work that they have to do, like us adding to that embarrassment that is right here at this point in time. Again, in Tobago, upstream, we have to remember, especially when it's coming to the rainy season, we have our river control officers, which I am not sure how well they are aware of their functions. But these logs that might be upstream, before a rain starts or the rainy season starts, the river control officers are to ensure that their people cut up all these logs. So even though you might burn it on that side, or it is small enough to go through any conduit downstream and prevent blockage. This is a situation that occur at most time, and we as persons who are living in Tobago should try our utmost to ensure that we prevent these things from happening. If you allow this to continue, we'll continue to have flooding in areas like Scarborough. If Cook's River was probably all the debris were cut on that area, we would have never had the flooding that we have recently in Scarborough. We have circumstances. This is a pass, a bridge, and you observe what has happened at the bridge. There's a clogged conduit there, and therefore we have an overflow of water, and this overflow may run down the street that goes down that way, or it can create problem for the house that is in the vicinity. If we ensure that these debris are removed before the rainy season comes, all these situations with respect to clogging and flooding in a small town like Scarborough will not occur. So it is for us to encourage our employees, our persons who are working in the river control area, to make sure these things do not reoccur and prevent any flooding, be it in town or be it in Roxborough, because all the rivers have the same challenges. Logs will fall and block the watercourse. If the watercourses are not cleared, it means that this situation will occur in any community where there is a blockage over at a small bridge or crossing. This is a polluted river, and you are trying to, these are methods and ways in which you can collect the garbage that might be afloat in the river. You have a net, and you're collecting all the debris, floating debris and other waste in that area. So there are methods and ways we have to learn. We don't reinvent the wheels now. So you learn from these, set up these situations to clean our water courses and to clean the areas that we have clogged up in this nature. This is foul water, and therefore you know it will not be good for drinking. WASA will have to treat this significantly to really improve it for any drinking purposes that might be possible. This is a typical beach. If you look at this beach and you stand on Queens Beach up at Louis D'Or, you said, really, this is the way a typical beach looks. And I'm not trying to get you to go into the water now, but at least I know that it is encouraging to see the way a typical beach operates. Now, according to the understanding and analysis of a beach profile, this is what happens. At high tide, the water is at high level. You have several types of, this is the foredune and the rear dune, the foreshore, the low and the near shore. A lot of activities take place in this near shore area. The transportation of sediment, the movement of currents, the hydrodynamic system that occur right in the area here is one that is admirable, sometimes devastating. Sometimes you have beach building, and you have another time you will have beach erosion. And these are some of the things that you have to study. The coastal processes. Before you put down any structure on any beach, you must understand the dynamics within the near shore area. If you don't understand it, you will end up having problems downstream and elsewhere as the water hits the coastline, throws energy and return back to the near waters. It will create a problem for any community. We have 2 more minutes, and at least I will complete before that, hopefully. Okay, now I need to discuss with you, or short discussion, not a long discussion, because you might not understand all the dynamics that take place in the coastal environment. Along as a wave coming from offshore and comes in this direction, we have the development according to the angle of the wave coming in on shore. We develop a longshore drift. This longshore drift is a longshore current, and the longshore current drives the operation on the beaches. They take the sand and carry it in this direction, but if the longshore current remains the same all year round, then you will have erosion here, and you have accretion here. At times, as the wave comes in from a next angle, the longshore current changes its direction. So the sand or the sediment in the beach area are recirculated in the coastal belt. And therefore, that's why some of our beaches are stable, and that's why some are eroding. Cliffs like these may end up eroding because the wave energy comes in too far, as we have learned about our sea level rise. And as the sea level rises, the wave energy goes in further to the cliffs, and therefore these cliffs could be eroded. But if the energy is low, then it stays on the beach, because the beach is like a giant filter bed, and therefore the water is reduced its energy going up to the cliff. But if the sea level has risen, then the waves are able to go in and erode these cliffs. As I will want to inform you that as a wave comes in, if the wave height is equal to the depth of the water, then the wave breaks. If it's not equal and the water is deep enough, it will take the energy straight onto the cliff. This is an eroding beach. We see the devastation here taking place. We are losing trees and we are losing land as the sea erodes the beach, the shoreline. Another devastation here, at least it reminds you a little bit about Pigeon Point, where we had to fill in with a lot of boulder in this area, but we still, the challenge there is still one that is not so acceptable because when you put boulders in this area, the energy of the wave coming and hitting the boulders will erode the sand, and the area here will become very deep. And that is what has happened to Pigeon Point. The sand, the area become near to the beachfront has become very deep because of the energy of the wave hitting on the stone and going back. The undertow pulls the sand, and therefore this area here becomes pretty deep. Another erosion takes place. If you observe, this is like near at Roxborough, Argyle, when you leaving, going into Kendall, that area, you observe that is an erosion of the same nature, taking out trees, etc. These are our grave trees that are coastal protection, vegetational coastal protection. How we protect the coast? This is a cliff that is eroding, that is clear. We have to, probably they have to do something here about this because it's eroding rapidly and there's a roadway running right here. Just as what is happening near to the licensing office down at Shore Park, this is the challenge we have faced, we're seeing here. These are groins. These groins, we call these groins, they are containment for sand. So the sand is locked in these groins, and then these groins, the beachfront will go out because the sand will be filling in these areas and this area. So this is a typical Shore Park arrangement. Same kind of material. It's caking and breaking, and therefore to manage this you have to have special engineering skills to deal with this. Because if you don't, then it will break and break right up. As the sea comes in and undermines the cliff, it will cause these massive pieces of earth to come down. Exactly what is happening in front of the licensing office, or near the licensing office down at Shore Park. These are protection, coastal protection for situations like the one, but coastal protections are very expensive and you have to have a commitment to have it done. The best of the coastal protection of this nature, I can remember that one that was built at Englishman's Bay, small Englishman's Bay going to Palatouvet. That one has stood the test of time. It is there nearly 30 to 40 years now, and it is still standing there. All you have to do is to continue to repair it, and it will continue to protect the road coming down from Englishman's Bay into Castell. So these are some of the methods that we use to protect the coastal environment. Finally, going into Pigeon Point, it's apparent that a pile of boulders, but you know, the boulder packing seems to be a little bit unsightly here. It needs to be packed properly and filled in with fillers. But this is what has been done in this situation, and just continue to need some improvement. So this is one form of coastal protection that will assist in the protecting of our environment, our road, and ensure that our beach remains stable.